What's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Glenn, how are you?
I'm good.
February was a very busy birthday month for my family. And it got me thinking about how sweet it was that you woke up early so that you could go late at night to be able to go over to my dad's house so we can celebrate my brother's birthday, so that you can just spend a little bit more time with me, but then also be engaged and involved in the family in that regard. Even though you had to leave and go straight to work and, there wasn't much time to do any of this, and yet you still did it. And I'm also thinking about how I saw a post from one of your partners, and it was his daughter's birthday this weekend, and she's so cute. And he was just talking about how he was off and he was spending her birthday together with her. And it struck me because this is somebody that I always see posting posts that like, okay, I'm working 40 hours of overtime this week, and so I think it's very important to be able to talk about how you deal with the guilt of missing out on things like milestones and family events, because it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, it's having a balance, especially in the first responder realm. Like, there's so many events, there's so many milestones that you can miss out on in your family, and you don't, if you can avoid it, then you try to avoid it. But over time, it's either, it's weighing whether it's important to you and not just you, but only is it important to your spouse? Is it important to your kids? Is it, you gotta take that time, because time is one thing you can never get back.
Yeah, but here's the truth. Missing a moment doesn't mean that you've missed the meaning behind it.
No, and you're absolutely right. And it's being able to express and be with that person in that, even though you missed that moment, being able to express the importance of that situation to you, and listen to them and envelop that shared experience.
So let's talk about why missing milestones hurts so much in the first place. When we are missing out on special moments, it isn't just about the event itself. It's about this feeling that maybe you're falling short as a spouse or as a parent or as a family member. And I think that this guilt often stems from the pressure to just be there for everything and for everyone. But because of your job, it basically makes it impossible to do that all of the time.
Yeah, it's having an understanding and making it okay for yourself to say, I'm going to miss this, but having your family understand, okay, this is kind of what's going to happen, to where you go out of your way sometimes to also, raise the level of importance of that event to you, to take that time off, to go experience that with them.
There's a lot of practical ways to actually remedy this sort of sense of guilt when we are missing special moments. And I think one of them is to be able to reframe the narrative a little bit. So presence matters a lot more than timing. So let's say you missed your child's birthday party. You can celebrate on the next day and make it okay to be able to.
I know a lot of first responders families that, especially with the younger kids, where say they have to work Christmas, and to where they're missing the whole, I work a 12.5-hour shift, and you're going to miss your whole day with your family if you're working that day, to where they rearrange the day of Christmas to where it falls on the 26th or the 28th. Like, I've seen days completely where it's like Christmas Day is on the 25th and they celebrate it on the 28th. They don't tell their kids that it's not Christmas Day when they're celebrating it. It's Christmas, and they enjoy it.
Yeah, like communicate your expectations ahead of time. When I was growing up, my mom's best friend had a daughter who also had a daughter, and she was born on Christmas. And, the kids' birthdays was such a big thing for them. It was the type of thing to where like all of our family friends would get together and do the whole birthday thing. And so that child was born on Christmas, and she didn't want her to not have her own special day because it was such a big thing for everybody else. So every single year we would all go and celebrate her birthday on July 25th instead of December 25th.
That's really cool, being able to change that. because it's hard when you, especially I know people with their like your dad, for example, his birthday's near Christmas. Like, you want to be able to celebrate that individual in a different way, because otherwise it's just going to get kind of swept under the rug to the other holidays or everything else that's going on.
Yeah, and like create these new traditions around your schedule. We have Thanksgiving, right? Like I always cook for you on Thanksgiving, but something that I love when we do is when we have Thanksgiving, just you and I, like mid-year. We go all out, like do all of the Thanksgiving foods mid-year. We don't wait until November.
Yeah, it's having that, just like it's the warm up to Thanksgiving, you know, and it's enjoyable, and we're not setting up a whole bunch of decorative things or anything. We're just enjoying a Thanksgiving dinner and giving thanks, as we should with everything that we're doing on a regular basis.
Something that just dawned on me is like people have Christmas in July, but like we do Thanksgiving in July.
I know.
Yeah, it's so cool to have these sort of new traditions around your schedule like that. And also, you can stay connected in real time, even if you can't be there. There are so many ways to do that nowadays. You can have a video call during the event. You can send a pre-recorded message. You can write a letter, give someone a card. You know, there's a lot of ways to where we don't really need to have excuses for not doing those types of things.
No, and if it's important to you, you're going to do it. And that's why it's important, especially when it comes to kids or your spouse or, you know, even your close friends. Like, make it important to you to be able to share that experience with them.
It's also important to prioritize your quality over your quantity. And what I mean by that is I know people who are like, oh, it's my birthday week and I'm celebrating my whole... I know a very shallow individual who like expects every day of her birthday week to be her birthday. And let's say that you were married to that shallow individual and she expected that of you. It would be much more important if you're working that whole week for you to spend one single day, let's say it's an off day on the weekend, 5 days post her birthday, and to have that quality time over the quantity of spending an entire week together.
Yeah, it's having that understanding, that creating that quality with one another, and not just, it's to me, that person they're just grasping for attention. They're trying to get other people to tie in, to make them feel more important than they truly are.
Yeah, and I think it's important to make sure that you're trying to encourage family members to partake in the conversation around missed milestones, missed holidays, missed birthdays, and, you know, explaining and being very blatant and expressive as to why things are this way.
Yeah, I think just this year, I mean, we didn't celebrate Christmas with my parents and like my side of the family until February. Like it was, but they understand, they know, and it is what it is. It's just having that understanding with them.
It was funny because I was like 2 weeks ago, in one weekend, I got 3 Christmas presents.
I know.
Like that was pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly. It changes that dynamic to where it's not all saturated in one day, and you can have that shared experience. It's just because it's not December 25th doesn't mean you can't have that shared family experience and be able to partake in a celebration with loved ones.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too, because I'm thinking about how normal it is for us to just like bend reality and like create what works for us, even if it doesn't fit into the mold of what we're supposed to do as a society. And it's such a normal thing, right, to have Christmas whenever we want to, or celebrate birthdays whenever we want to, or however we want to. And it's so hard for some people. I think in particular, if you're of an older generation, to where you get so stuck in those traditions. Like an example, my dad, like there's no way he would ever celebrate anybody else's birthday apart from on their birthday, ever. And he's so set in that, right?
Oh yeah, and well, that, and especially like if it's not your birthday anymore. Like he has that almost, it's so set and ingrained into him that he can't change that, and that's okay.
It is okay. However, that's when boundaries come into play, because what you and I have started to do is, okay, well, we're not going to be around on my birthday.
Yeah, and
no, we don't do that on purpose, but
no.
Like if something happens and we're not going to be around, it's like we don't have that sense of guilt anymore.
No, not at all. And I think that's the biggest thing, is not holding on to that sense of guilt associated to it and making it okay.
I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.